1950s, scientists said that the flicker rate in televisions put people into a hypnotic state because of the interlacing of how the TV screen would shoot out basically a light beam spectrum.
Why do you think Bill Gates covers his camera?
Systems interlaced, in layman's terms, is a flicker rate so fast that your conscious brain doesn't see it, but your subconscious does, and it puts you into a trance. So you'll think of a flashing strobe light, the watch being swung. It's that to infinity. And then you get into the giant science. This is just one little area. When you go into these DARPA research laboratories, and I was led into some one time because one of the people that worked there was basically crazy and thought it was a big joke. And I'm like, what are you showing me? It was like, oh, come over here. I'll let you shoot in the psychology department this film you're making. And then all of a sudden, I'm being shown flicker rates and programming and monkey experiments and ape experiments on how to put them into a trance state and then how to make them suggestible, which they would then do to humans later.
Subliminal messaging.
One little project at UT, and it was restricted. And then part of the programs was classified. But now, 60 minutes, screen time's hurting kids. It's hurting their capacity to form relationships, especially giving them artificial Asperger's. Well, everybody, even the old-timers knew, kids, don't get too close to the TV. And people said, we don't know why, it just hurts you. Well, it turned out studies did actually show it was projecting a form of radiation at you. And the new plasma screens do that, and the new LED screens do that, and the new cell phones, and all of them put off microwave radiation, so they literally give you cancer. So at every level, we're given this Promethean power, but it destroys us, and our liver is torn out by a large buzzard every day for eternity.
Wow.
For a punishment. If you go to the Greek mythology, you're given the power of the gods, but you're tortured because of it. So that's the allegory here. And I'll go back to our guest, but that's just one micron of this. But let me tell you, I know about MK Ultra from studying other projects, and because of things I separately learned from people close to me that happened to be witnesses to it. And I'm going to just leave it at that. But you all heard about how the CIA put the LSD on the campuses in the 60s. And Timothy Leary worked for the FBI and the CIA to make it cool. And all those other hosts tell you about DMT, man, take it, it's cool. Have you taken the DMT? Those are the new Timothy Learys. And they go meet with professors on the weekend that are really CIA, leftist, and they say what they want programmed next. And if you don't go meet with them, they come after you, like you see with us. So I'm here telling you, hey, DMT, you might think it's great, but the bad guys running things want you to take it, and I know the folks who first brought DMT to the public, and they told me the whole inside story, which I won't tell at this point, but I'm very close to doing it, because it's part 2 of this. But let me go back to our guest, John Greenwald. We're going to get back for a full hour in the near future. I apologize, I'm rambling on here, but the point is, here we are being proven right on humans have been cloned for a long time, human-animal chimeras, secret space projects, mind control programs, everything they make fun of us for, which we were just going off old documents, is now confirmed, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's what's interesting about these documents. We've heard about MK Ultra for a long time. We know that the mind control experiments took place. Here's my biggest takeaway over the last couple of years, where the CIA did not even want to believe me that those documents were not on the CD. I had to create a 95-page fax to send over to them to prove that I was right, that they weren't there. Once I proved that, they changed their story. But here's my takeaway. Even though we know about MK Ultra and have for many years, and we know the broad scope of it, what these documents show is that MK Ultra was potentially the tip of the iceberg. That
it was just the entrance. I mean, people say, what's new? Yeah. Exactly. That this was only the first level.
Right, exactly. And these documents show that they were not even related to MK Ultra, but they were doing experiments where they are implanting devices, and they started with dogs. And Newsweek wrote this up, did a great job with it, that they were implanting these things in dog brains and were able to control dogs and have success with it. Now, you might think, well, that's just dogs, who cares? Well, this was the tip of the iceberg when it came to that research. What comes next when you master it in animals?
Tens of thousands of military volunteer. They got guys that will volunteer going suicide missions. They've already volunteered. They've already done it all. I know people that got recruited into these programs, and I know people that refused the programs, but they, in the 80s, they already had giant, literal underground facilities in Maryland where they were creating sorts of people, let's just say, that could infiltrate things with hidden devices in their bodies.
Yeah, and this release of information proves beyond any shadow of a doubt there is a lot more for people like me to find. This document release is incredibly important. There's thousands of pages to read, but it shows me that there are more classified projects that they will not tell you what the name is, and they will not tell you what the objectives of those projects were. Now that's important because we know about MK Ultra, we know about the crazy stuff they did. We now know that they were implanting devices into dogs and animals, mice, using drugs, using hypnosis. We know all of that. And it proves that those theories are all right, some of which we knew. Now we've got more. But if we know all of that, my question is, what is still classified? What are they still not giving us? Why won't they give us program names? Why won't they give us the objectives? If MK Ultra and the LSD and hypnosis research was that bizarre and that intense, I can't even imagine what is still classified that they can't even tell you anything related to the program. And that's all in these documents that I